Hi Mel, thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Very good, very good.
So before we started, you were just mentioning that you did a gig on Friday night in London. How was that?
That was a fantastic gig. We took the roof off the place. I mean, it was our first gig. It was quite intimate. Wasn't a huge gig at the Water Rats, but everybody loved it. Everybody there loved the new album, loved the new songs, and loved the whole concept.
Well, speaking of the album, your debut solo album comes out in May. What can you tell us about that album?
Right, it's an eclectic mix of songs. It goes from anything from hard rock to funk to ballads to pop songs. So it's a wide variety of songs, and I'm sure everybody will embrace it.
Did you go into writing the album with it in mind that you wanted different genres, or did it just happen like that?
It just kind of happened like that. I mean, we had various tracks that we recorded. We had tracks that we'd done from way back, and we brought them up to date, and we just put everything together, and we thought, okay, this is a interesting sounding album, interesting mix, but how can we put it together, in a concept, as it were, and we brought everything together. I got it mixed because we recorded this album 7 years ago before lockdown, and we wanted to release it before lockdown, but it just didn't happen, obviously because of the circumstances. So we remixed it last year, done a fresh mix, and here we are today.
Does some of the songs go way back then?
Yeah, some of them go back probably 15, 20 years, but we brought them up to date and we brought them in.
Yeah, the first single from the album is called Run,
Yeah.
which is out 1st of March. What can you tell us about that song?
Well, that song basically came together in Germany. I co-wrote that with a German writer who writes for Udo Lindenberg, and he came out with some of the song parts, and I thought that'd be good. But what's you know I'm trying to think what's behind this song. What can be what it's about. Met a man the other day, said he couldn't get on with life, and I thought, maybe he has to run away then. And I thought, okay, good title for a song, Run. So yeah, that was the thinking behind that, to get away and run away from what's going on today.
Well, the album was obviously called "Come with Me." Is that like suggesting like you taking us on a journey throughout the album?
Absolutely, yeah, it is a journey. I like to think of that as the embrace behind the project. Come with me, come with me, come with us on this journey, and this will take you through different genres of music, different scenes, different colors, the whole bit.
Is there a reason you chose "Run" as the first single?
The reasoning behind that is probably to do with the record company, because I just presented them with the songs, and they said, "Okay, we're going to pick four singles off the album, of which the first is going to be Run." I said, "Go with it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine by me."
What is your songwriting process like as a solo artist?
It's kind of sometimes very, very tranquil, very, very isolated. But when you come out with something, you come out with a melody, you come out with chords to put behind that melody, then you see everything kind of blend together. It's a very exciting process. But the process behind it is just for me to come out with melody first, then from that melody bring the chords around it, and then go from there.
So you're singing on this album as well. Was that a big step forward for you?
Yeah, I mean, any drummer that can tell you that it's a huge step, to be presented as a singer. Um, many singing drummers are out there, and I'm sure I'm not the first, but I like to say that there's not too many that are doing it, because it's quite difficult to do as
Was
a
it
pro.
Robert Palmer that like gave you the confidence to sing?
Yeah, basically when I was on his tour, you know, he said, give that man a mic, you know, because I've heard him sing and he can sing. So give that man a mic and let him sing. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And you know, it just developed from there. And because of his confidence in me as a singer, that was great. I mean, that was all I needed, you know, and I thought that was a great compliment.
Do you play a lot of different mix of instruments on this album yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing drums. I'm playing a little bit of bass, a little bit of keyboards as well. The guitars I leave to my brother and the lead guitarist James Ford. But yeah, I mean, I'm playing, you know, a fair few things on the album.
Do you feel it gives you more freedom to do what you want when you've got that situation of playing different instruments?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it gives you a freedom to just express yourself totally, you know, and you know, once you get to that stage of songwriting, singing, performing, you know, you gather confidence all the time, and once you have that confidence, then you're out there. It's
Is
all
there
it's
something in particular you want your listeners to take away from this album?
Yeah, I want you to take away the fact that it's an eclectic album and there's something in there for everybody. You know, if you like jazz, there's no jazz in there, unfortunately, but if you like rock, you know, hard rock, there's hard rock on there. There's funk in there and dangerous and a little bit of Little White Lies. You know, there's the kind of folky element with Run. There's ballads on there with Wicked Game. You know, so there's quite a cross section.
I can imagine it's pretty hard for you to choose, but have you got a favourite song on the album?
uh, favorite song. I'd say probably Little White Lies. Little
What's
White
that?
Lies, which is going to be the second single.
All
Um,
right, yeah.
that turned out very well. That turned out better than I thought.
Has it got a story behind it, a particular story?
It's just you know, somebody really, excuse my French, bullshitting, you know, and coming up and saying, you know, I've got this, I've got that, and I've got this and got that. And I was like, yeah, that's a little white lie, you know. He didn't really mean that, or he's not doing that. He's not. I haven't seen it happen yet. So, little white lies come from that, telling fibs.
All right, yeah, yeah. You just slightly touched on the drumming. When did you start learning to drum?
I started to learn to drum when I was six years of age, on my mother's couch with knitting needles, and she got fed up with me bending her needles, let's say. So she went out and bought me some drumsticks, and then I got my first kit from there, and just progressed from there.
Was there any particular reason you liked drumming? Was there a certain song that made you want
Well,
to?
I mean, the reason I took up drums is people like Buddy Rich, John Bonham, and I saw them on TV, and I thought, my God, you know, that really impressed me, you know, and I thought, yeah, this is happening, you know. I wanna play drums and I want to perform, you know, as a drummer because I thought it is very exciting and it's just great to do.
Well, you toured with the Flirtations when you were 16. What was
Uh-huh.
that experience like touring at such a young age?
Well, I mean, it was the day I left school. The day I left school, the next day I went on tour,
Yeah.
and I was on tour for, oh Christ, the summer of '76, I think it was. Yeah, summer of '76. I toured pretty much throughout the year, you know, and playing all the working men's clubs, playing a lot of clubs on the coast and everywhere. I mean, it was great tour, fantastic tour.
Did that help you in the future when you were touring all the time? Did that experience help?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, any experience touring wise, any experience, you know, going off and doing stuff is great. You know, it's a wonderful thing.
How did you become a session musician?
Um, through just playing in bands. One of my first bands I played in London was a kind of session jam band. It's called Gonzales, and from that I got a lot of studio dates from that, and played a lot of studio dates for free. You know, just to sit in there and be seen, be heard, and from that, you know, just getting into producers' ears. You know, Mel Gaynor, the session drummer. There's a few of us at the time that started off. One was Simon Phillips, the other one was Steve Ferroni, myself, and a guy called Tony Beard, who was a big session player as well. So we all kind of were vying for all the sessions, and yeah, it was an exciting time. Exciting time.
What is it like as a session musician when you're playing on somebody else's record? Do you kind of get to do it how you want to do it, or do they like guide you in a way?
I think really it's a guidance thing. I think, and it's really, really getting to know what the producer wants, you know, because you're in the producer's hands or in the artist's hands, but normally the producer, and you have to please the producer into what he wants to hear, you know. So it's not your session; you're in his hands, and he tells you what to do.
You've worked with lots of big musicians as a session musician. Elton John, Lou Reed, Joan Armatrading. Who's your favourite
Or
to work with?
they're all great in their own way. I mean, probably some of the standout stuff was probably Elton John, probably Tina Turner, but everybody, you know, I worked with has got their own special qualities for sure.
Well, after that, you joined Simple Minds. How do you look back on at that long journey with Simple Minds now?
Well, I mean, it was an exciting time when I joined the band. I was only 22, and it was just exciting to be a part of that and to be, you know, growing up with that and growing with the band, as it were. You know, we kind of grew into, you know, the big time together.
Yeah, I was going to say, what were the first couple of years like? Because they weren't the big band that they became at that point, were they, when you joined?
No, when I joined, it's kind of mediocre, and we started to come up like from Sparkle in the Rain, and Once Upon a Time. Then we started to get big from there. So it was a few lucky breaks that happened, and we were right place at the right time.
Is it true that the band didn't want to record Don't You Forget About Me because the band didn't write that song?
Well, we were writing our own songs, so we weren't really that interested in performing "Don't You Forget About Me." But it was a vehicle to crack America, and so from that we thought, okay, we've got a chance to crack America with this. So and that's one of the reasons why we chose it, and you know, we made it our own in the end.
Yeah, have you got a favourite Simple Minds song that you're drumming on, like your favourite drum in the song?
I like Up on the Catwalk. Up on the Catwalk was good because that was something which was a kind of heavy drum influence track, and it was a kind of cool track, I think.
1985 was a big year for the band, coming off them three albums and then playing at Live Aid. What was Live Aid like?
Live Aid was great. Live Aid was incredible. I mean, it was a incredible experience. You know, coming from we were recording Once Upon a Time in the woods in the forest at the time, upstate New York, and then we took a break and then went to Live Aid, Philadelphia, and that was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. You know, being introduced by Jack Nicholson, and you know, it was just beyond expectations.
A crazy day, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No.
Well, my granddad's a big Simple Minds fan and a fan of you. And when I told him I was interviewing you, he
Mhm.
wanted me to ask you, do you remember playing at Roundy Park in Leeds in 1989? And
Yeah, absolutely.
what can you remember from that day?
Well, I just remember it was a very hot day. It was a huge stage. And I just remember it being a very memorable concert. And from there, I think I drove back home myself and just drove home. And but it was just a great day out. I mean, it's a memorable day. I remember, um, I think I remember going back and doing something quite special, but I can't remember what it was for the life of me. But it was a fantastic day, real remarkable day.
Have you got a favourite concert that sticks out in your mind?
I'd say probably Wembley Stadium. Oh, Christ, when was that? 1989, and you know, all my family were there. I could see them up the top cheering, and that was memorable. That was really memorable.
We mentioned Live Aid. What was the reception like with the fans in America? Did you crack America at that time?
We were just starting to crack America at that time. You know, it was our big introduction to America, and you know, we had Don't You up in the charts as well. So it was great. It was great to just kind of go out there and play. You know, a place where we toured for such a long time, but we never really cracked it. But this time we're, you know, all the doors are open. So from that time, we finished the album Once Upon a Time, and then went out on a huge tour. So it was very successful for us.
Was it relentless like in the mid 80s with the album, then touring, then another album, touring?
Yeah, it was relentless, and it really took its toll. So much so that we had to take pretty much a year off just to recuperate, because we were constantly on the road for best part of 2.5 years.
You were one of the biggest bands of the 80s. Is it harder like getting to that point or staying there?
It's probably harder to maintain that. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say getting there is easy, but getting there is, you know, is a climb. But once you're there, it's harder to maintain that flow. Um, and it's harder for a lot of bands to do that, you know, and to keep up that pace. You know, you have to be very clever about the way you conduct your activities when you're riding high.
So what happened with leaving Simple Minds? Is it lots of different reasons that came together?
It wasn't so much a reason. I think it was just how can I say? Uh, it was really just the moments of time that happened. You know, they decided they wanted to do more acoustic stuff, which was their choice, and I wanted to get off and do some other stuff, um, mainly pursuing my solo stuff. And then you know, we just didn't decide to get back together. You know, they decided to use Charisse to do the rest of the touring, and she's still there.
Obviously, one of the greatest drummers, but did you feel a bit underappreciated by the band with how it ended with
Um,
bringing a new drummer?
well, I don't think it's so much ended. I think, you know, there could be still something there, but you know, I just think it's time run its course, and everybody just wanted to move on and to different pastures. You know, I don't think there was any animosity there. I think it was just a matter of you know, everybody was doing their own thing, so they just pursued it.
Did you think all these years later you'd be bringing out your own album that you're singing on and playing the instruments on?
To be quite honest, no. I mean, I thought I'd be doing something quite substantial, but to bring out my own album and singing on it, I wasn't expecting that, and it just came together, you know, quite naturally, quite organically, and here we are.
What have you got planned for the future then?
Plan for the future is a tour, so we're going to be going on tour after the album comes out, so that should be June time, and then yeah, and then we'd be ready to rock, and then we're going to plunge forward and tour as much as possible and not come off the road, hopefully, and just be on the road constantly.
Is there any plans for another album?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Once this album's kind of run its course, which will probably take the best part of a year and a half, maybe 2 years, then yeah, we get into another album. But that would be recorded, you know, probably as soon as next year.
So, like you said, then it's not ended fully with Simple Minds. If they ever rang and said to do it, would you be up for it?
We'll see. We'll see. Never say never. But yeah, we'll see. You know, if the guys call me up and say they want to do something, why not? Why not?
Is the album going to be out on physical release as well as obviously Spotify and things like that?
Yeah, it'll be out on all platforms. There'll be vinyl, CD, and possibly cassette as well. So it'll be out on all platforms.
Oh,
Absolutely.
nice, yeah, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we finish?
Well, I'd like to say that thank you very much for having me on Behind the Curtain. It's been a pleasure. And
No worries, thank you.
hello to all the fans. And I hope you come to all the concerts because it'd be great to see you.
You know where you're playing yet, or you're not allowed to talk about that?
Sorry?
Do you know whereabouts you're playing?
Well, we're going to be playing all over. You know, hopefully we'll be playing in your neck of the woods. We'll be playing in Glasgow. We'll be playing in Newcastle. We're playing all over the place, all over England, all over Europe, all over the world.
Oh, nice, nice. I'll definitely come and check it out, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you for that. I've really enjoyed having you on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
See you. Bye, bye.